Hey guys, so today I have swatches of the OPI Terribly Nice collection for holiday 2023. There are 14 polishes here altogether. You can find these at beyondpolish.com. I have a coupon/affiliate code with Beyond Polish, so I will have that on the screen and in the description box. 14 polishes altogether, and I will get into the swatches. So the first polish is called Chill 'Em With Kindness, and this is described as a winter white with a shimmery lilac effect. So this is sheer and a little bit uneven on that first coat, but to be fair, I did overwork the first coat. That lilac shimmer also stands out really nicely. It does start to build a bit on the second coat, but it is still pretty sheer. The second coat does also help even it out a bit. Still a little sheer on 3 coats, and I did do a slightly thicker third coat to even it out. So that is 3 coats of Chill 'Em With Kindness, and I also wanted to see what this looked like as a topper, so that's 1 coat over a purple cream that you'll see here in a little bit. The next polish is called Salty Sweet Nothings, and OPI describes this as a metallic golden cream. So this is sheer, but it has a ton of those kind of glass fleck flakies in it, which do give a little bit of coverage. The formula feels good and those flakies apply very smoothly. It actually builds pretty well on that second coat. Those flakies really start to build up and give a lot of coverage. And the third coat builds up even more. There's a little bit of nail line showing, but not nearly as much as I expected to see. I didn't swatch this one as a topper, but I think you could probably also use this as a topper. So that is 3 coats of Salty Sweet Nothings. The next polish is called Sickeningly Sweet, and this is described as a deep lavender cream, and this is the polish that I layered Chillin' With Kindness over. This had an okay formula. It felt a little bit thin to me and came off just a little bit patchy on that first coat. It was manageable though, not terrible. It builds up really well on that second coat, but once it was fully dry, it was a little bit too sheer for me, so I did end up adding a third coat. The third coat covered completely for me, but I really just barely needed the third coat anyway, so I think a lot of people will be okay here with 2. So that is 3 coats of Sickeningly Sweet. The next polish is called Put On Something Ice, and this is described as a cold, sparkly lilac. I am swatching this as a topper, but I do have a clip of it in 2 coats on its own as well. So formula-wise, this is pretty good. The glitter is a little bit chunky. It takes a little bit of manipulation to kind of pull that glitter to the end of the nail and make everything distribute evenly. So this is a chunkier glitter. It's definitely going to have some texture when it's fully dry, and it is going to be more difficult to remove. So that is 1 coat of Put Something on Ice as a topper, and then I also have it in 2 coats here on its own. It actually covered pretty well in 2 coats on its own. I didn't want to add a third for full opacity because I felt like 3 coats of this with that glitter would get a little too thick. The next polish is called Yay or Nay, and OPI describes this as a gray and gold metallic. It's this kind of medium gray crelly base with those glass fleck flakies from Salty Sweet Nothings and also some copper flakies. The formula here is great. It's got a really good crelly base. There are a ton of those metallic flakies, and the base is just sheer enough that it doesn't drown those flakies out at all. There are a few shades like this in this collection, and I am having a hard time deciding if I think that they're ugly or if I really like them. This covered completely for me in 2 coats. Those flakies lay nice and flat, so they're not difficult to remove, and you don't get any texture from them, but they do get everywhere when you remove them. So that is 2 coats of Yay or Nay. The next polish is called Shaking My Sugarplums, and OPI describes this as a metallic lavender. It's kind of a blue jelly base with a pink shimmer. Great formula, great shimmer. There's no brush strokes through that shimmer at all. It's a little bit sheer, but it's actually a lot less sheer than I was expecting. This actually covered really well for me in 2 coats, which was a surprise. I had a little bit of nail line showing, but it wasn't enough for me to feel like I needed 3 coats. If you have longer nails or a whiter nail line, you might want 3 coats to cover that up though. So that is 2 coats of Shaking My Sugarplums. The next polish is called It's a Wonderful Spice, and OPI describes this as a metallic rose gold. It's this kind of burnt orangey pink crelly base with those glass fleck flakies and copper flakies. This, like I said, is another crelly, really good crelly formula here as well. I do feel like you lose those flakies a little bit, but they're a much lighter, more delicate flaky, so that's not super surprising. They kind of take on the color of the base a bit. The formula was really good here, and this did cover completely for me in 2 coats. Again, no texture from those flakies, and they're not difficult to remove. So that is 2 coats of It's a Wonderful Spice. The next polish is called 5 Golden Flings, and OPI describes this as a metallic gold. It's this kind of swampy, greeny brown crelly base with copper flakies and then those glass fleck flakies. Okay, well, yikes. I wish this looked like it does on the OPI website. I might insert that picture a little bit because this is really ugly. But that's not what I'm here for. The formula here is very good. It's a good crelly base, a little bit sheer on the first coat, doesn't drown out those flakies at all, and there are a ton of those flakies in it. It covered completely in 2 coats, and those flakies are not going to be difficult to remove. So, woof. So that is 2 coats of 5 Golden Flings. The next polish is called Blame the Mistletoe, and this is described as a shimmery fuchsia. This is great. The formula is great. The color is super bright. There's no brush strokes through that shimmer at all. It goes on very evenly. It's very opaque. It's very bright and glowy and velvety. It easily covered for me in 2 coats. It's just a really surprisingly pretty polish. So that is 2 coats of Blame the Mistletoe. The next polish is called Hot Toddy Naughty, and this is described as a brown shimmer. This is also great. Really good formula, very opaque. The shimmer is really nice and doesn't have any brush strokes through it. Not quite a 1-coater, but very close, and it did cover completely in 2 coats. I was also very surprised how much I liked this one. I didn't mention it as a favorite, but I probably should have. So that is 2 coats of Hot Toddy Naughty. The next polish is called Hot and Cold, and this is described as a multicolor glitter. This is in a slightly shimmery black jelly base. The glitter in here is chunky, but the formula isn't thick. There's just a lot of glitter, so it takes quite a bit of manipulation to even everything out on the nails. It did cover completely for me in 2 coats, which I am happy about. It wasn't thick, but it's not something that I would want to have to do 3 coats of because the glitter in itself is very chunky. Just like put something on ice, I would not want to layer 3 coats of that glitter. This is also going to be very chunky because there is a lot of glitter and it will be difficult to remove. So that is 2 coats of Hot and Cold. The next polish is called Rebel with a Claws, and this is described as a classic red cream. Every OPI holiday collection has to have one of these. This has a fantastic formula. It applies like butter. It's very opaque, and it's like the perfect shade of red for me. It's not a particularly unique shade. OPI puts out one of these almost every single year, but if you're in the market for a red, this is a really good red. It covered completely for me in 2 coats, and again, just went on so nicely. So that is 2 coats of Rebel with a Claws. The next polish is called Let's Scrooge, and this is described as a shimmery teal. Okay, look, I know that there's a theme here, and I have read a lot of questionable polish names in my time, but I did an audible, pearl-clutching gasp when I read this polish. The formula here is okay. It's a little bit on the thick side, but it is very opaque, and even being a little bit thick, it does still even out just fine. The shimmer also stands out pretty nicely, which is not usually something that happens with a very opaque polish, so it's a nice balance. And obviously, this did cover completely for me in 2 coats. So that is 2 coats of Let's Scrooge. The next polish is called Peppermint Bark and Bite, and this is described as a shimmery forest green. This is a jelly base, which surprised me. This is pretty much what I was expecting the last polish to look like on 1 coat. The formula feels pretty good, and the shimmer does stand out nicely. So it was a little bit patchy on the 1st coat. I did start the 2nd coat. The color was building up well, but it was still a little patchy, so I decided kind of at too late of a point to do a thicker 2nd coat so I could avoid doing a 3rd. And then I was screwing it up, trying to spread it evenly, so I just abandoned ship before I made it any worse. So that is 2 coats of Peppermint Bark and Bite, but I could see needing 3 if you did thinner coats and didn't F around like I did. Okay, so hopefully you guys are like as shocked as I am, but my favorites are actually going to be Rebel with the Claws. I don't know if I've ever picked a red as a favorite. If I have, it's been like very, very few and far between. And this is not a particularly special polish. It's just like a basic kind of blue-based medium red, but it looks really nice. I liked it on my nails for some reason. I don't know what's happening in my brain that I'm liking red these days, but I liked it on my nails and it's a really good formula. So this one was my favorite. I wasn't like super blown away by a lot of the polishes in this collection, which might be one of the reasons that this stands out so much. And I also really liked Blame It on the Mistletoe. Not something that I would look at the bottle and think that I was really gonna like, but it was really bright on my nails, and I liked that shimmery, really bright hot pink, no brush strokes through it. It was really smooth, so this one ended up being a surprise favorite as well. So that is the OPI Terribly Nice collection for holiday 2023. Again, you can find those at beyondpolish.com, so I will link that website down below. I also have a coupon/affiliate code with Beyond Polish, which will be on the screen and in the description box. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later. Bye.